The most mysterious U.S. flight disasters from the 60s to the 80s, from ghostly radio signals to disappearances without a trace and crashes under perfect skies. America's skies during the 1960s to 1980s were haunted by mysteries that still puzzle experts today. Some planes vanished mid-flight, others were hijacked in broad daylight, and in some terrifying cases, passengers had premonitions of doom and were right. In this video, we'll uncover the top 15 strangest and most chilling flights in the US from the 60s to 80s. Stories so eerie, they reshaped the way we fly and the way we fear the skies. Flying Tiger Line, Flight 739. These cassette tapes were carefully compiled from radio recordings and borrowed albums. More than just music collections, they were musical love letters. Making a mixtape took patience, sitting by the radio, finger ready on the record button, waiting for the right song. Sometimes a DJ's voice would sneak in, adding a charming imperfection. The physical experience of handling cassettes, the click of inserting a tape, the whir of rewinding, and using a pencil to untangle tape was part of the fun. Mixtapes were heartfelt gifts, portable soundtracks that changed how we connected with music in everyday life. 3. Underoos. Imagine a time when turning into your favorite superhero didn't need costumes or gadgets, just a pair of underoos. These underwear sets, emblazoned with superhero logos, kids would parade around with imaginary capes, feeling invincible in their hero roles. Before video games brought superheroes to life virtually. Underoos. D.B. Cooper, Northwest Orient Flight 305, 1971. In 1971, a man dressed in a suit and sunglasses boarded Flight 305 with nothing more than a briefcase and a calm demeanor. Hours later, he would vanish into the night sky, sparking one of the most legendary manhunts in American history. Calling himself Dan Cooper, the man handed a note to a flight attendant shortly after takeoff. It claimed he had a bomb. His demands $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel stop in Seattle. Authorities met them at the airport and complied. Once the passengers were safely released, Cooper instructed the pilots to head toward Mexico, flying low and slow, somewhere over the dense forests of Washington state. Cooper opened the rear stairwell of the Boeing 727 and parachuted into darkness, money in hand. He was never seen again. No one knows whether he lived or died, and the FBI has never solved the case. Just a few rotting bills found years later buried near a riverbank. To this day, no one knows who D.B. Cooper was or what became of him. Was he a criminal mastermind or a ghost swallowed by the wilderness? One thing's for sure, no one ever hijacked a plane and disappeared quite like him. Pan Am Flight 914, the plane that vanished and returned 37 years later. This wasn't a crash. No wreckage was found, no distress call. Instead, Pan Am Flight 914 became one of the most chilling urban legends ever to circulate in the US and beyond. According to the story, the flight took off from New York on July 2, 1955, headed for Miami. But somewhere along the way, it simply vanished, along with 57 passengers and crew members. The case faded into mystery until 1992, when reports claimed the same plane suddenly landed in Caracas, Venezuela. Airport workers described a bizarre scene, an old-style aircraft appearing out of nowhere, a confused pilot asking where he was, and cockpit instruments still showing the year, 1955. Within minutes, the plane allegedly took off again and was never seen again. Though many have debunked it as fiction, the story of Pan Am 914 still sends chills down people's spines. Because sometimes the scariest part isn't the crash, It's the disappearance without a trace. The iconic product was Love's Baby Soft perfume, a sweet, powdery fragrance that whispered innocence and youthful charm. This scent became a must-have on teenage vanities and came to symbolize 70s femininity. Though its advertising, featuring young models in playful poses, might raise eyebrows today, it serves as a reminder of how cultural standards shift. What once was aspirational can later be viewed through a more critical lens, reflecting the evolving nature of beauty and society. What parts of this story did you like the most? Please share with us. We would love to hear from you in the comments. 11. Pet rock. The 1970s were full of quirky fads, but few were as hilarious and oddly endearing as the pet rock. Invented by advertising exec Gary Dahl, this fad involved selling plain, smooth stones as if they were living pets. Each rock came in its own cardboard box. Some even said the apparitions warned of mechanical issues before they happened, only to disappear as mysteriously as they came, whether urban legend or something more. Flight 401 became the first crash tied to widespread paranormal sightings in modern U.S. aviation history. United Airlines, CUFO, 1977, Alaska, New York. In 1977, one of the most controversial incidents in U.S. aviation history occurred when a United Airlines flight from Alaska to New York reportedly encountered an unidentified flying object, UFO. The flight crew, including the captain, co-pilot, and several passengers, reported seeing a glowing, mysterious object flying parallel to their aircraft at over 30,000 feet. What shocked them most was the object's ability to suddenly change speed, hover in place, and instantly vanish, movements far beyond the capabilities of any known civilian or military aircraft at the time. The crew filed an official report with the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the event even drew the attention of the U.S. Air Force. However, most related documents have remained classified or were dismissed as natural phenomena, despite eyewitnesses insisting it was unlike any meteor or ordinary aircraft. To this day, it remains one of the strangest UFO encounters ever reported over American skies during the 1970s. Have you ever heard of this doomed flight? Drop a comment and let us know. Sioux City Mystery Plane, 1968. In 1968, something bizarre unfolded over Sioux City, Iowa. Several air traffic controllers at the Sioux City airport and multiple pilots on the ground claimed to witness a completely silent, glowing aircraft hovering near the airfield in the dead of night. Despite clear skies and functioning radar, the object never appeared on any instruments. It was seen only with the naked eye. Described as cigar-shaped and eerily quiet, the craft moved in slow, calculated patterns before vanishing without a trace. Attempts to identify the aircraft failed. The FAA never confirmed any flight plans matching its location, and the military denied involvement. Was it a top-secret government project? An extraterrestrial visitor? No one ever figured it out. The ghost pilot of O'Hare, 1983. Even among aviation veterans, the Sioux City mystery plane remains one of the most chilling and unexplained sightings of the 1960s. In the fall of 1983, something deeply unsettling occurred at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Air traffic controllers began picking up a strange radio transmission that repeated the same chilling voice over and over. The voice matched a pilot who had died years earlier in a tragic crash. Even more disturbing, the signal came through on an old, unused frequency, one that had been decommissioned after the fatal incident. Some believed it was a hoax. Others whispered of a ghost pilot trying to warn future flights. replaying his final moments in an endless loop. To this day, the mystery remains. Was it a technical glitch, an elaborate prank, or something far beyond our understanding? No one has ever fully explained it, and the voice was never heard again. Pacific Airlines, Flight 773, 1964. In 1969, a commercial flight entered the Bermuda Triangle and was never seen again. No distress signal, no wreckage, no trace. One moment it was on radar, the next it was gone. Despite years of searching, investigators found nothing. The mysterious disappearance fueled decades of speculation. Was it weather, mechanical failure, or something far stranger? To this day, the fate of that plane remains one of the most haunting unsolved puzzles in aviation history. The Bermuda Triangle has become infamous for a string of mysterious plane crashes and disappearances, especially between the 1940s and 1970s. Aircraft would vanish mid-flight, often without distress calls or debris ever found. The curse of Flight 91, a haunting pattern in American aviation. In the late 1970s, an eerie pattern began to emerge in American skies. Flights bearing the number 191 were ending in tragedy. The most infamous was American Airlines Flight 191, which crashed just moments after takeoff from Chicago O'Hare in 1979, killing all 271 people on board. It remains the deadliest aviation accident on U.S. soil. Just 2 years earlier, Southern Airways Flight 242, internally linked to the number 191, broke apart mid-flight after engine failure caused by a thunderstorm. 63 people died, including passengers and people on the ground. Coincidence or curse over the years? Multiple deadly crashes have been tied to the number 191, including Delta Flight 191 in 1985 and Comair Flight 5191 in 2006. Some say it's just chance. Others aren't so sure. Even today, many airlines have quietly removed 191 from their flight schedules, because for pilots and passengers alike, 191 is a number you never want to see on your boarding pass. Grand Canyon mid-air collision, 1956. On a clear June morning in 1956, two commercial airliners, a United DC-7 and a TWA Super Constellation, vanished into the blue skies over the Grand Canyon. What followed was the deadliest aviation disaster in U.S. history at the time, with 128 lives lost in a fiery mid-air collision above one of America's most iconic landmarks. No radar, no warning, just two planes on intersecting paths through uncontrolled airspace. The wreckage scattered across the canyon cliffs stunned the nation. This was not just a tragic accident. It was a wake-up call. The crash exposed fatal gaps in air traffic control and led to the birth of modern aviation safety as we know it. In many ways, it took this disaster to bring radar, real-time communication, and tighter flight regulations into American skies. It was a turning point, one paid for in lives, but remembered in every safe flight since United Airlines Flight 811, 1989. On February 24, 1989, United Airlines Flight 811 took off from Honolulu, bound for New Zealand, but just minutes after reaching cruising altitude, disaster struck. A cargo door on the Boeing 747 suddenly blew off mid-flight, ripping a massive hole in the fuselage. The explosive decompression was violent and immediate, tearing rows of seats apart and pulling 9 passengers out of the plane into the night sky. Despite the chaos, the crew managed to make an emergency landing back in Honolulu, saving the lives of over 300 people on board. Investigations later revealed a design flaw in the cargo door's locking mechanism, leading to critical changes in aviation safety worldwide. The haunting image of the torn fuselage and the chilling loss of those 9 souls became a lasting reminder of how a single mechanical failure could test the limits of human skill, courage, and luck at 22,000 feet. Skyjacking Epidemic. The wave of hijackings in 1960s America. During the 1960s and early 1970s, America faced an astonishing wave of airplane hijackings, often referred to as the Skyjacking Epidemic. In just over a decade, more than 100 commercial flights were hijacked, many by individuals demanding to be flown to Cuba. The trend became so bizarre and frequent that airline staff began screening passengers for maps of Cuba or Spanish phrasebooks. These hijackings weren't always politically motivated. Some were acts of desperation, while others were thrill-seeking stunts or misguided attempts at fame. Despite the often non-lethal outcomes, the constant threat created widespread fear and disrupted air travel across the country. This chaotic era ultimately forced the US government and aviation industry to rethink airport security. By the mid-1970s, America introduced the first systematic passenger screenings and metal detectors, laying the foundation for today's strict airport security protocols. The stories you just heard aren't just cold facts. They're haunting reminders that the skies have never truly been silent. Despite all our advances in science and technology, some moments remain unexplained. Were they coincidences, technical failures, or something far beyond human understanding? Do you believe in chance or destiny? If these chilling tales gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who love diving into the darker side of history. We'll see you in the next mysterious journey, because the sky still holds many secrets waiting to be uncovered. If you grew up in the 70s, these old photos will bring back memories. The 1970s was more than disco balls and bell-bottoms. It was a decade full of unique trends and everyday details that only those who lived it remember. Let's explore 20-plus things from the 70s that kids today just wouldn't understand. Ready for a trip back in time? Mushroom decor. Step into a typical 1970s kitchen, and you'd find avocado green appliances and harvest gold countertops alongside cheerful mushroom motifs everywhere. From plates and curtains to striking wallpaper, these whimsical fungi designs reflected a desire for earthy, organic aesthetics and a playful nod to nature. It was part of a broader cultural trend that embraced environmental awareness and the Back to the Earth movement. Mushroom decor wasn't just kitschy, it symbolized a deeper yearning for simplicity and connection to the natural world. Cereal prizes. Saturday morning cartoons just weren't complete without a giant bowl of sugary cereal. But let's be honest, we weren't always in it for the taste. We were on a treasure hunt. The real prize was the toy hidden at the bottom of the box. Would it be a baking soda-powered submarine, a goofy monster figurine, a decoder ring to share secrets with your friends? The anticipation was everything. The best part was digging your hand all the way to the bottom of the box, often pouring out way too much cereal just to get to it faster. It was a simple thrill, a brilliant piece of marketing that made breakfast the most exciting part of the day. Mood rings. Mood rings were more than just fun jewelry. They caught on in the 1970s when people were getting more interested in emotions and self-awareness. These rings used heat-sensitive crystals that changed color with your body temperature, claiming to reflect your mood: blue for calm, green for stress, and so on. While the science was shaky, the idea felt meaningful. They gave emotions a visible form, sparked conversations, and made a small statement about tuning into how you felt. Today, they may seem like a gimmick, but they still bring back memories of a time when even a ring could feel like a window into your inner world. Rotary phones. Before smartphones or even push-button phones, rotary phones ruled the day. These familiar home devices required users to place a finger in the numbered dial hole, spin it around, and wait for it to click back before dialing the next number. It feels like a relic today, but there was a certain satisfaction in the methodical click-click of the dial. Making a call used to require intention and patience. Rotary phones remind us of a simpler era when communication was slower and more deliberate. They may seem quaint now, but they're enduring symbols of how our everyday interactions once had a different rhythm. Answering the phone. In the 1970s, each phone ring was a moment of anticipation. Without caller ID, every call was a mystery until you lifted the receiver to say, "Hello." The phone could be a friend with exciting news, a family member checking in, or a pesky telemarketer. Americans answered anyway because it was all part of the experience. Our kids today, so used to selective silence and blocked numbers, might find it odd that families once embraced every ring. And there was something charming about pacing the kitchen, phone cord winding behind you as you chatted away. It was tactile and spontaneous, a world apart from today's polished and private digital communications. Polaroid cameras and photo booths before digital photography. The Polaroid camera brought instant magic to picture-taking. You had just a few shots per pack, which made each one feel special. And who could forget shaking the photo to speed development? That little ritual became a part of the experience. For spontaneous fun, photo booths in malls, arcades, and rinks offered quick strips of memories, complete with red curtains and brilliant flash. Together, these devices made capturing moments a physical and joyful experience. It's something digital images don't quite replicate. Comment number 1. If you liked the content, women's beauty trends. Women in the 1970s embraced bold self-expression through beauty trends that captured the decade's free-spirited vibe. One favorite was Sun In, a lemon juice-based hair lightener promising sun-kissed highlights without long hours in the sun. Many hoped for that natural, glowing look that matched the era's carefree attitude. Another iconic product was Love's Baby Soft perfume, a sweet, powdery fragrance that whispered innocence and youthful charm. This scent became a must-have on teenage vanities and came to symbolize 70s femininity. Though its advertising, featuring young models in playful poses, might raise eyebrows today, it serves as a reminder of how cultural standards shift. What once was aspirational can later be viewed through a more critical lens, reflecting the evolving nature of beauty and society. What parts of this story did you like the most? Please share with us. We would love to hear from you in the comments. Pet rock. The 1970s were full of quirky fads, but few were as hilarious and oddly endearing as the pet rock. Invented by advertising exec Gary Dahl, this fad involved selling plain, smooth stones as if they were living pets. Each rock came in its own cardboard box with air holes and even a humorous care manual. The joke was obvious: rocks don't need feeding, walking, or affection. Yet people embraced the absurdity. They carried their rocks, gave them names, and even dressed them up. Though it faded fast, the pet rock craze remains a charming relic of a time when we celebrated irony and laughed at consumer culture and at ourselves. Rabbit ears, antennas. Getting a clear TV picture used to be an art form. Before cable came along, we all relied on a pair of rabbit ears sitting on top of the TV set. Getting them in just the right position to eliminate the static and ghosts was a constant battle. You'd send your kid to go stand by the TV. A little to the left? No. Back to the right? Hold it right there, was a common command in households across America. And who didn't try wrapping a bit of aluminum foil around the ends for a little extra boost? It was a daily ritual that required patience and a bit of luck. But finally, getting that clear picture just in time for your favorite show was a victory worth celebrating. Pong Pong might have looked simple, just 2 paddles and a bouncing ball, but it sparked a cultural shift. When it launched in 1972, it introduced the world to interactive digital fun. Its charm came from how easy it was to play and how hard it was to stop. Players quickly found themselves hooked, strategizing every move as the ball picked up speed. It was not flashy or complex, but it did not need to be. Pong brought generations together and laid the groundwork for what would become a multi-billion-dollar industry. It was more than a game. It was the birth of something big. Detachable can tabs. Opening a soda in the 1970s was a sensory experience. You would yank the tab off the can with a satisfying snap, often followed by a metallic clink as the tab hit the ground. These pull tabs, completely removable from the can, were everywhere, from beaches to playgrounds and occasionally underfoot. Stepping on one barefoot could leave a lasting impression. Although the design was far from eco-friendly or safe, it reflected a time when convenience took the lead. Today's tabs stay put, but the old ones remind us of an era when even small rituals came with a bit more risk and flair. Tang Tang was more than just a powdered drink mix. For many kids in the 70s, it felt like a sip of the future. Its connection to the space program gave it instant cool points, even if astronauts did not drink it on every mission. All you had to do was mix it with water, and suddenly you had a bright orange drink that felt special. Tang became a breakfast staple, especially for families with space dreams and busy mornings. Other flavors like grape and cherry joined in, but nothing quite beats the original. One sip and the memories come rushing back. Think I missed something? Share your favorite 70s memory in the comments. If you enjoyed this throwback, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep the spirit of the 70s alive. Thanks for watching. TV landscape kids today, with streaming at their fingertips, might struggle to imagine the limited TV options of the 1970s. Back then, you had just 3 channels plus public broadcasting. This scarcity made watching TV a special, anticipated event. People would circle shows in the TV guide and eagerly wait for Saturday morning cartoons, which were a beloved family ritual. Families gathered around the TV with cereal bowls, sharing laughter and excitement. Changing channels meant physically turning a dial, often with a satisfying click, and adjusting the antenna to clear the picture was a group effort. With so few choices, kids spent more time playing outdoors, encouraged by boredom, curiosity, and their parents pushing them to explore beyond the screen. Mixtapes. Before the age of Spotify, playlists, and digital downloads, the 1970s gave us the mixtape, an art form and personal expression. These cassette tapes were carefully compiled from radio recordings and borrowed albums. More than just music collections, they were musical love letters. Making a mixtape took patience, sitting by the radio, finger ready on the record button, waiting for the right song. Sometimes a DJ's voice would sneak in, adding a charming imperfection. The physical experience of handling cassettes, the click of inserting a tape, the whir of rewinding, and using a pencil to untangle tape was part of the fun. Mixtapes were heartfelt gifts, portable soundtracks that changed how we connected with music in everyday life. Underoos. Imagine a time when turning into your favorite superhero didn't need costumes or gadgets, just a pair of underoos. These underwear sets, emblazoned with superhero logos, blurred the line between everyday clothes and fantasy. Wearing Superman underoos was more than dressing up. It was a transformation. Kids would parade around with imaginary capes, feeling invincible in their hero roles. Before video games brought superheroes to life virtually, underoos offered a physical, imaginative way to step into those roles. They were a simple but powerful way for kids to live out their fantasies and believe in the power of good. Record stores. In the 1970s, record stores were vibrant community spots for music lovers. More than just shops, they were places to discover new artists, debate music, and connect with others who shared your passion. Like busy malls, friends met there to browse vinyl, tracing grooves that promised hours of music. Listening to an album before buying wasn't just smart, it was a shared ritual that sparked conversations. Staff were passionate experts, offering personalized recommendations and hidden gems. It was common to strike up conversations with strangers over favorite bands, proving music's power to connect people. These stores were sanctuaries of passion and community, a rich experience that digital music today can't replicate. In your memory, what is the most memorable experience from the 1970s? Please share it in the comments below. The disco era. Disco music pulsed through the 1970s, transforming dance floors into vibrant spaces of energy and expression. Groups like KC and the Sunshine Band mixed funk, R&B, and pop to create feel-good hits like Get Down Tonight and That's the Way I Like It, capturing the carefree spirit of the time. The Bee Gees, with their soaring harmonies, became disco royalty thanks to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Their music remains tied to iconic images of John Travolta on the dance floor. Disco was more than sound. It was a dazzling sensory celebration of flashing lights, glittering outfits, and the joy of moving freely. It symbolized freedom, individuality, and music's power to bring people together. Bell-bottom pants. Bell-bottom pants, those wide flares from the 60s and 70s, were more than just fashion. They symbolized rebellion, freedom, and individuality, originating from sailors' practical trousers in the 1800s. They gained cultural meaning during the 1960s counterculture. Often made of denim and decorated with embroidery or patches, they reflected the era's psychedelic art and music. Icons like Sonny and Cher popularized them, especially on disco dance floors. Though less common by the late 70s, bell-bottoms remain a lasting symbol of bold style and nonconformity, popping up again in fashion over the years. Shag carpeting. Picture yourself in a 1970s living room, groovy tunes hum from the stereo, and your feet sink into a thick, plush carpet. That's shag carpeting, arguably the coziest symbol of the decade. These carpets weren't just soft, they exploded with wild colors and funky patterns in oranges, browns, greens, and yellows. Shag was all about standing out and making a bold statement. Walking barefoot on those fluffy fibers wasn't just comfy. It transformed any space into a warm, inviting retreat. While shag carpets aren't as common in homes today, back then they were everywhere, embodying an era when interior design was playful, colorful, and unapologetically fun. Hitchhiking today. Hitchhiking seems risky and outdated with rideshare apps and safety worries. But in the 1970s, it was a common and trusted way to travel. It symbolized freedom, adventure, and kindness among strangers. People from all walks of life hitched rides sharing stories and journeys. While there were risks, those moments often added to the excitement. Though now mostly illegal and frowned upon, hitchhiking still reminds us of a time when faith in others and shared experiences ruled the open road. Men's style. The 1970s were a time for men to showcase bold self-expression, and their style was all about confident masculinity. Mustaches were worn proudly, sideburns grew long and flowing, and big hair was a sign of vitality and swagger. The scent of strong aftershave lingered in the air, a subtle announcement of presence. The macho look went beyond fashion. It was a cultural statement of ruggedness and assertiveness. Men embraced daring choices, from flashy disco shirts with wild patterns to snug bell-bottom jeans. Leaving a few shirt buttons undone to reveal a hairy chest added a flirtatious edge, hinting at the untamed spirit beneath. There was an undeniable air of confidence and charm in men's fashion then, a timeless mix of individuality and masculinity that defined the decade.